Salutations and proclamations. It is I, it is you, it is us, it is we. Together, we make up the Daily Fit Podcast. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Philly's #1 son, aka the Body Alchemist, Sun Moon Bay, bringing you another great, fully fit, fully focused, holistically blessed podcast. That's right. It is November the 2nd, 2018. Wow. Let's let that sink in for a minute, everybody. That's right. I said it is November the 2nd, 2018. We are only 2 months away from a new year. 2 months. It seems like just yesterday was July. That's just the plain old stark naked truth right there. It seems like this year is trying to sprint by us so fast, but with every moment that moves quickly, I try my hardest, as I hope you are, to focus on what really matters and focus on the positives, even though it is consistently harder to do. Looking at the news and social media doesn't always help. By the way, just in case you didn't know, the Daily Fit Podcast is on Instagram. We are on Facebook. What else are we on? Are we on Twitter? I don't think we're on Twitter, but maybe. Depends on how you all feel about that. But we are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We are on SoundCloud. We are on YouTube. That's right. We are on the YouTubes. I borrowed that from Mark Bell. Hope you don't. No copyright infringement, Mark Bell. But shout out. We are definitely on every platform that we can get on, just to spread the positive progress mantra of trying to be the best positive version of yourself that you can be. Speaking of which, we have a great show with great guests this week. I have with us a individual that I've been trying to get on the show for a while, a Mr. Deangelo Lewis, aka The Fitness Guy on Instagram. If you have not seen his Instagram, check his Instagram. It's like a mixture of what a Marvel Avenger would be if he was a physical trainer. This man's creative mind when it comes to movements always inspires me to not set boundaries in my mind when it comes to being creative. To let my imagination flow freely and not get stuck into the box of what physical movement is. As well as physical exercise. So I'm so glad to have him on this podcast this week. As always, we have also coming up after that, the Dropping the Jewels section, which is going to be chock full of information. Just so that you all know, I always like to reiterate this, but the Dropping the Jewels section is really something that we hold dear, just for the biggest part of it being the fact that we're always looking for people who can answer your questions. I'm always looking for people who can answer my questions. But when individuals stop me in the street or stop me anywhere and say, listen, I know you're a physical trainer. I know you do this and that. Can you answer this question? Just because I'm a physical trainer doesn't always mean I have the answers. There's so much to being fit. And when we say fit, as you know, here on this show, we don't just mean physically. Sometimes it's spiritually. Sometimes it's financially. Sometimes it's, wow. Sometimes it is, I don't know what else, but it is what it is, just to say the flat out truth. So what we do is we scour the globe, and that's 100% the truth. We scour the globe to see who we can contact, who's willing to come on this show, who is 100% passionate, honest, and forthright about giving information to help people to answer your questions. So it is a dear segment to my heart. I'm so proud of it. It has grown and continued to grow. And the guest that is coming up and who is going to be on it, I feel is going to add to its legacy. So stay tuned for the Dropping the Jewels section. But We're going to get into this interview. We're going to get into this podcast, and we're going to enjoy ourselves. As always, you know who you're with.
You're now tuned into the De La Fit podcast.
What's the problem? You can't lift that up? No! Oh, come back and try again. You're almost to the sink. Oh.
De La Fit podcast.
I can't do it.
What's going on, everybody? We've got a great guest with me this week. I've been trying to get this man on the show for a while because, one, I'm a big fan of his workouts. They inspire me. I've actually tried and used them now in my own workouts, which help a great deal. And I've been watching this man for, I'd say, for at least a good 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Since he popped up on my radar. It's helped my training a lot. Would like to introduce to you all Mr. Deangelo Lewis, a.k.a. the Fitness Guy. Mr. Lewis, are you on the line with us?
I'm absolutely on the line, most definitely.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing extremely well. How about yourself?
I'm doing. Hey, look, I'm here. I'm got dinner on the stove. I've got my training program. I've got this show. I'm doing some things. I'm feeling motivated, and I'm talking to a highly motivated, passionate person on the phone right now about one of my favorite subjects, which is fitness. So I'm doing pretty good.
Beautiful, positive energy all around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And congratulations to you. If I'm correct, you just opened up your own gym. Am I correct?
You are absolutely correct. I actually have a nonprofit here in Wilmington, Delaware. I have a partner. It's called Breaking Barriers. It's in Wilmington. It's a lovely location. I'm totally stoked, slightly anxious, but extremely excited. You know how that goes. New endeavors always bring, new feelings to the table, but all positive, all love, my friend.
Most definitely. So why don't you take us to, well, first let's start like this. All right, going over for individuals who might be new to the podcast. Our view of fitness is not just going in the gym or doing calisthenics, lifting weights of that nature. Fitness is 100% holistic. That's how we think of it here at the De La Fit podcast. We also think of it as play. So, we try to not use words. Well, I know some of my people are tuning in right now like, you used that word last week. I try now not to say training. I try to say playing, because my view is going into the gym, going in or working out or doing any of those things should be viewed as play. So tell me, where did your fitness, aka playing adventure, begin?
Excellent question. Before I start, let me just first say thank you for having me on the show. It's an extreme honor. I've followed you as well. I've also followed the podcast, and it's been quite the journey, just educating myself on your journey, as well as your podcast journey and all the positive energy you have sent my way indirectly. But with that being said, I guess for me, I've come up under an extremely athletic family. My father was a Division I basketball player as well as a Division I college coach. My mother played Division I volleyball, basketball, soccer, and she swam. So I've always I was brought up under the tutelage of just extreme athletes. And, you mentioned holistic health.
Right.
At the beginning, that is exactly the way it started. I mean, for me, mind, body, and soul is one. I was always taught to be mindful of what I put in my body, people I surround myself with, my work ethic, etc. So for me, it started at an early age. I must say back in 2001, so we're working on 17 years now, I lost my father to a sudden heart attack.
Oh, wow.
I had always been active myself, playing high school basketball and college ball and things like that. But when I lost my father, it kind of turned my world upside down. I have a younger brother who is 30, and I'm 37 now, so he's 34. So we're 3 years apart. So of course, after I lost my father to a sudden heart attack, there was no history of heart trouble, my brother. So, they ran my brother and I through rigorous testing. And of course, the hereditary hypertension fell on me. I think at the point of diagnosis, my blood pressure was 196 over about 140. And at that particular time, the nurse and the doctor looked at me and told me, listen, young man, we need you to go ahead and start this medication right now before you even leave the doctor's office. So that in itself started me on more of a holistic path. You know, as a young person, we attribute health to aesthetics and outside look.
Very much so. Very much
Most
so.
definitely. So with that, I had to refocus and relearn a lot. You know, at 18, 19, 20 years old, we believe we know everything and we believe we know what's best. And that's not always the case. So, in that, you know, they did an autopsy on my father and they found, that he had already suffered a minor heart attack prior. Now, in learning all of this, I've always been an advocate for young folks as well as my peers. But it kind of it spearheaded me into more of a healthy advocacy, position. They compared his minor heart attack to the feeling of, indigestion, which to me, men of color, no matter what race we are, I think a lot of times we overindulge in our ethnic eating. If you understand what I'm saying, you know, soul food, Latin food, just indigenous foods that are close to our heart. And in doing so, we put ourselves at a disadvantage when it comes to heart disease, diabetes, all of these things that are, you know, are taking us out. So I say all that to say, from that point on, I started to pay more attention to what I ingested in my body. I started to include cardio into my system because at that time, that was 2001, and I was on the highest dosage of blood pressure medication they had on the market.
Wow.
So at that point, I really had to kind of decide what I wanted to do. So at that point, I just refocused, and my motivation went through the roof. So we started cardio, we started eating organic foods. We cut out red meat for a while. We cut out pork, and when I say we, I mean I have a very strong support system. So my family actually supported my movement, which is big. You know, it's very hard to take on a lifestyle change as a solo person or solo unit.
Very true.
So I was very fortunate to have the support of my family, mom, brother, cousins, aunts, uncles, etc., who noticed there was a need for change. And before they got that same warning that I was lucky or blessed enough to have, they decided we needed to go ahead and make a move together as a unit.
That's awesome.
So, in doing so, I just started changing, man. I dropped body fat, just totally changed my life, man. And from that point on, I became a father 2005. So my son was born. And then I also had my daughter in 2011. And we talk a lot about hereditary gains and what we attribute to genes. And I knew I wanted to get a head start on learning how to teach my children how to better take care of themselves, what they ingest, how they move, exercise, mental health, all of these different things. So that actually was the beginning of my journey.
Well, let me say this. First of all, that's beautiful. I mean, the fact of your family, you know, being able to come together as a unit and move, because there's so many people that, as you stated before, they have to do it alone. They feel they are doing it alone. And it could be really, really difficult. I have friends and relatives who are going through, let's say, physical changes now, and a lot of times it's their mate or their partner or their, you know, a relative or somebody in their family is just not willing to change. And I feel it's fear, and they project that fear on others who are trying to change. So it's a blessing that your family was actually, you know, willing. You know, they took the message. Unfortunately, in the passing of your father, which is definitely unfortunate, and we give you so much condolences. But
appreciate you
know,
for sure.
Able to take the message out of that and progress into a positive movement. That's a blessing right there, and kudos to you and your family for taking that.
Greatly appreciate you, my friend.
So now I have to ask you this, bro. I have to ask you this because the first time I saw you, and I really saw your Instagram, and I think this is about maybe it might not have even been a year ago. I say it might have been 2 years ago. I was watching you train, all right, because I specifically I've switched. I used to do bodybuilding sets, and then I switched up and I got friends who were powerlifters, and they got me hooked into that and doing powerlifter training. And my father was a big calisthenics guy, big into calisthenics. So every day I would watch him do push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and then go to the gym. And it's a story that's very, I'm sure many people are like, yes, we know, we tune in, we hear this all the time. But I'm saying this to say that it stuck with me. So as I'm training, I'm going through Instagram because I'm always looking for motivation. And as I looked, I saw you doing pull-ups, and I think you had kettlebells on your feet. And I was like, say what? Really? I almost had that moment of, you can do that? Seriously? And then in the same moment, you were squatting, and then I think you went from a squat to a single leg squat with the barbell on you. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on, bro. This brother is breaking all the rules here. He is changing it up to what he's doing. I'm like, because I'm going to be honest. My friends think I'm sometimes a lunatic when I train. I know y'all do. I hear y'all tuning in. Y'all talk about me behind my back. I know y'all do. So when I saw you, I was like, oh, I got to follow this man. What inspires you to be so creative with your workouts?
Well, I think for me, I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee. So where I come from,
shout out to Nashville.
In the 80s, yes, of course. In the 80s, where I come from, my brother, there were no traditional gyms. So my uncles, my cousins, and all these guys that I aspired to be like, they were flipping tires, cinder blocks, are very, very creative and a lot of ingenuity in learning how to hit these particular muscles and get this particular look without spending a lot of money and not having a lot of resources. So that always stuck with me. And again, coming up, I was always the runt of the litter as well. So whatever, and it's funny, where I come from, man, when we sit down on Sunday, there was no discussion when you're eating dinner. If you ate dinner, if you talk during dinner, you missed out, my brother. So being the runt of the litter and also being one of the most social, I had to really learn how to navigate these southern ways that are so near and dear to my heart. And I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I'll tie it up for you real quick.
No. Feel free. Go for it.
With all of those experiences, now as I've gotten older and transitioned and I started to change my life, I always knew that for me, being aesthetically strong does not equate to being naturally strong and having strength.
You know
that
what?
I had,
brother, I'm not cutting you off, but I want you to repeat that. I want you to repeat that. I'd like you to repeat that to the public.
Absolutely. I must say, aesthetic strength, when you see someone who is extremely cut and looks to be extremely strong, they are not synonymous. They do not always go together. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. I knew for me, I wanted, when someone looked at me, I wanted them to see that I had the propensity to move weight, but I also wanted to be able to substantiate whatever they thought I could do, whatever they thought was possible. And nowadays, I push for things that people think are impossible. And for me, the way that I thought to achieve that would be to be just as strong calisthenically as I am with free weight and weight movement. If I combine the two with equal motivation, if I can get on a bar and give you 20 muscle up and then burn out push up, and then I could still get on a flat bench and give you, 14 and 16 reps at 225, and then I can get in the bucket with, squat weight on my back and give you 16 in the bucket, clean, full press squat. I figured for me, I could cover all rounds as long as I kept that cardio in there. And that's what I did. And over the years, I just tried to always tell myself to continue to get progressively better. And even now, I've been in this fitness game as a motivator, as an advocate, as a trainer for about 6 years now. I always strive to get better and continue learning. I always work with other trainers. I collaborate with other trainers. A lot of trainers through me learn the benefit of calisthenics in your training regimen. And with me, I can learn better movement through free weight with these other trainers. So again, I must say, as Deangelo, the fitness guy, something I must say, you are never too old to learn, and the time never runs out on education. Whether that's book smarts, whether that's gym smarts, whether that's calisthenics, whether that's fitness health, whatever. We are constant learners. We are constantly soaking up information. And for me, that is how I got started. Now, when you're doing calisthenics, calisthenics is a huge community. I think it's overlooked when it comes to fitness. So I was fortunate enough to be introduced to a fitness club on the West Coast by the name of Knox Fit Bar, and they're actually on Instagram.
I'm familiar.
Yes, and they're actually on Instagram. Funny story. Last year, 2017, June 9th, I'm outside running, jogging, training. A lady actually hit me from behind in her Toyota truck going about 50 miles an hour. She was texting.
What?
Yes, sir. So she hit me from behind. She's doing 55 miles an hour. Of course, I'll never forget it. I'm fully conscious through the whole experience. I'm running up the street. I've ran this route for 7 years. Young ladies there's a bus stop in my city area. So I'm running the shoulder. I see the same ladies I've seen for years. Hey, how you doing? I say, hey, how you doing? No sooner than I speak, I feel this immense pressure in my back. I hear the ladies scream. I can sit all day like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I can see people bracing for the impact I'm receiving. And I remember thinking to myself, Deangelo, what is going on? And as I'm raising off the ground, I look over my shoulder and I see the bumper of this lady's car pressed up against my back. And I think to myself, I'm actively getting hit by a truck right now as we speak. Yes, my brother. So in the impact, I'm running mid-stride. She catches my left foot under the front of her truck. We're still moving. I'm arched over the front of her truck. I look over my shoulder. She's texting. She drops the phone.
What?
Slams on the brake. Yes. Drops the phone. Slams on the brake. We go into a skid. Now, when she stops, suddenly it dislodges my left foot, throws me about 15 feet in the air. Now, I remember distinctly, it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, first 90-degree day of the summer, June 9th. I can hear people outside like, oh my gosh, he's getting hit. So I'm flying in the air, right? So I ride motorcycles as well, and I remember having this conversation to myself. This whole ordeal was nothing more than maybe about a minute and a half. It felt like 20 minutes. So I'm thinking to myself, whatever you do, don't hit your head.
Right.
So I'm flailing and contorting and tucking. So the impact throws my feet up north, and now my head is south. So I'm headed for a straight nose dive to the concrete.
Oh.
So yes. So I'm coming down, and all I'm thinking is, put your hands down and brace for impact. But I don't realize how high I am. So when I put my left hand down, my hand hit the hood of her truck. But it was so much force, and I was coming from such height that my left wrist just exploded. Everything horrible. So, mind you, I'm fully conscious. So at this point, the real Deangelo comes out, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I hit my car. I hit the ground. Long story short, I broke my ankle in 2 places, broke my wrist in 2 places, blew out 3 tendons in my left wrist. So this is all about that. I'm going to tie it up again just so it all makes sense. So in the interim, of course, I'm out. I'm out of work for 5 months. Just totally incapacitated, bedridden for like 3 months. I thought my spine was broken, just a whole bunch of stuff. So in the interim, I have a pretty nice following on Instagram. I'm blessed to say, everybody, I appreciate everyone's support. Knox Fit Bars had been following my Instagram. Unbeknownst to them about the car accident, they reached out to me via telephone and they hit me. I'm like, hey, how you doing? They're like, hey, Deangelo, how's it going? We would like to invite you to San Francisco to compete in our calisthenics competition. Mind you, I got hit in June. The competition is in October. So I'm like, what am I going to do? I didn't tell them no. And, so we're conversing. I don't tell them anything about the accident. So they're like, we want to bring you out to compete. I'm like, cool. Give me some time to consider. I might have some business stuff going on. I'm stalling like a mug, right? So,
to consider? Wait. Okay.
So I converse with my mother, converse with my brother, my team, and everything, and they're like, listen, do you think it's something that's feasible that you can even do? I said, listen, I can do it. I said, I just need to be able to get this cast and this boot off, and I'm going to go for it. So they're like, lessons only come once in a while. If you think you can do it, do it. So long story short, June, July, August, I get my boot off. Right before it's time to start training, my brother, I have to wrap my wrist up, so I take this head on. And again, I'm a father. So very seldom as a father do you get to put verbal messages that we try and give our kids into action. So
right.
We always talk about being steadfast and pushing through your dreams. And we say this verbally all the time. So this was a rare opportunity that I had a chance to reinforce this for them visually so they could see what this actually meant.
Okay.
So that was my motivation, to show them all of the lessons that I've been trying to tell them over the years. So I just put that head on. So long story short, I'm in my gym, my brother. I had my wrist wrapped up because I still had no tendons in my wrist. My wrist healed, but I have no tendons.
Hold on, bro.
Yes,
you said you have no tendons.
You hear me? I have no
Wait a minute. The microphone must have slipped. You must. What did you? There are no tendons in your wrist.
No, my tendon integrity in my left hand was at like 22%.
Wow. Now, so, for those listening, explain that for those that might not understand.
Absolutely. So those tendons are the things that help those muscles and bones and everything move smoothly, especially when you're talking about pull-ups, muscle-ups, wrist dexterity, push-ups, anything that requires counterclockwise or clockwise rotation, up and down wrist movement. Those tendons are all of those things that keep those wheels greased and help everything move smoothly.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And it was only at 20%.
20%. So, at that point, I went and bought some wrist wraps. I went to my gym every day from August to October. I just worked on reps, technique and power. 45-pound plate around my waist, 25 sets of pull-ups for 10s and 12s, drop it down to 25 pounds, 15 sets. This was my workout regimen. Still doing bench press, trying to keep everything balanced. Still doing free weight to the best of my ability at the time. So I do all this training. I get ready to go right before I get the week before I'm about to catch my flight to San Francisco. My orthopedic surgeon calls me and says, "Hey, Deangelo, we have opening for surgery."
Oh, wait. Hold on, brother. Hold on.
Yeah.
Everybody in the podcast.
Like it sounds like a movie script, right?
Everybody in the podcast. I hope you hear this. I hope you hear this because the man just said that he was hit by a car. Tendons at 20% going in, training hard. Wow. You said a week before?
A week before I fly to San Francisco, he tells me, "Hey, I have opening for surgery because they have to replace those tendons on my left wrist."
Wow.
So in that instance, I tell him, "Listen, I had an opportunity to go compete. He's asking me how I feel, what I can do." I go in, he actually evaluates me, of course, but I didn't want to do further damage. So I go in, he evaluates me. He says, "Everything is clear. You just don't have the smoothness and motion." He said, "You're in a good position. Go compete. Don't overdo it. Enjoy yourself." He said, "Any damage for this particular situation, anything that happens in there, we can clean it out because we're going to put all new tendons in."
Okay.
So at that, when I got the green light from him, I said, "We're good." So I go out, I compete, I do extremely well, mind you. It's calisthenics. So at that point, I think I weighed in at about 198 pounds. I was about 35 to 40 pounds heavier than every single competitor. There was one other guy there that was 185 pounds. Everybody else was 125 to about 170. And if you know anything about the calisthenics community, whether it's freestyle or rep, those guys are usually, you know, middleweight to lightweight competitors.
Oh yeah, it's looked at as very strange anytime somebody from 170 to 180 is in there. You're a big guy.
Absolutely. So we go out. Everything is amazing. I compete. I do extremely well. We get love. At the end of the event, I disclose to everyone, you know, we're talking, and they're like, well, how long did you train? And how long did you train? And I think I was talking to, I think I was talking to one of the gentlemen who was like co-founder of the movement. And, I was like, you know, I trained for about 8 weeks. And he was like, why so short? And I told him, he was like, come on over, yo, you gotta tell the story. So it was just, and it was just a brotherhood of embracing and positive energy just for what I had went through and what we had shared together during that event. So it was love, and I still keep in contact with those guys to this day. They're still great friends of mine, and it was a great experience. I must say, the Knox Fit Bars, if you guys are on Instagram, follow those guys. They have great tutorials for calisthenics. They're very user-friendly folks. They send DMs, techniques, all that good stuff. So follow those brothers, most definitely. I will plug them because I ride with them fully. So that in itself, that event, again, my children, of course, they were in summer camp, so they couldn't fly out, so they watched me on live, and they got to see what it actually means to put your best foot forward and to persevere and to be strong and to support one another and all these things. So that was a great experience that came from that accident. But in doing so, of course, that event had plenty of professional photography and videographers and things like that. So I got a ton of footage to put on my Instagram.
Nice.
So when I come back, of course, I call my doctor. He sets up the surgery. I go and get surgery in November. I'm fresh out of surgery now. I can't make this up. I can't. It's insane. When I tell the story, I feel like I'm watching a movie. I'm a week out of surgery, my brother. I'm checking my email. I have an email from American Ninja Warrior, right?
Which segues into my next question.
Yes. I have an email from American Ninja Warrior. So, you know me, I'm a skeptic. I'm like, oh, it's a robot email. I'm not even worried about it. I let that email sit for 6 weeks. Cast off, everything's healing. I go back to work. I look at this email. I'm like, let me check this email and see if it's real. I respond. It says something like, be fitness guy, of course, Instagram information if you're interested. So I send my reply. This is 6 weeks later. As soon as I send my reply, within about a minute and a half, I get a reply from the producer saying, oh, we had no idea you were still interested. We've been trying to get into contact with you. I'm losing my mind at this point. Like, what? Excuse me? Like, trying to get in contact with who? So we get to conversing or what have you. They say, listen, Red, we would like you to try out, send some video. And my brother, I send some random video. I do a montage where I'm from. They make you do a lot of, personal stuff because the drama sells. So where you're from, your family, some of your training stuff. I send stuff that I don't hear anything for 7 weeks. I'm on my way from the gym training appointment at about 11 p.m. Eastern. So it's 8 over there. I get a call. You speak to Deangelo Lewis. I'm like, who is calling me using my whole name at this time of week? So, it's like, who is this? So I'm like, this is he. And the young lady is like, I'm the casting producer from American Ninja Warrior. I said, hold on, baby, let me pull over real quick. So I'll pull over and park up so I can talk and not drive because I'm swerving at this point. And she says, listen, I do want to let you know you made the first cut. We need some additional footage. Now, this is Thursday evening at 11. So, my first question is, what's the time frame do I have to acquire this footage and get it to you? She said, really, I needed it by Friday morning. But I can give you till Sunday afternoon. This is Thursday night at 11 p.m. So I'm like, oh, my goodness. So I find a place in Pennsylvania, in Westchester called I-Core Fitness. And they're one of the only places around that has American Ninja Warrior things and stuff. I go there, record, send my video out. Mind you, my good brother, I'm on a fresh wrist. I'm coming off a wrist surgery.
Wow,
so
I
go out. Yes, I'm coming off a wrist surgery. So I start recording for it, send it in. I'm like, oh well, that was a good run, but I'm not worried about it. Another 4 weeks go by. I'm doing homework with my daughter. My cell phone rings again. It's a gentleman this time. So I pull over in park up so I can talk and not drive because I'm swerving at this point. And she says, really, I need it by Friday morning. But again, Deangelo Lewis. I'm like, who is this? So the gentleman is like, Deangelo Lewis, the newest competitor on American Ninja Warrior. I lose my mind. My daughter's like, what's going on, Dad? I'm screaming. I'll never forget it. And she's like, why are you screaming so much, Dad? So when it was all said and done, I said, baby, I've been watching this show since she's 7. I was like, I've been watching this show since I was your age when it was only in Japan. You know, and I said,
yes. I remember.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm like, baby, this is a once in a lifetime dream for Daddy over here. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, I got to send in the HIPAA form with all my medical. I factored in my good brother. I factored in at 9 a.m. They hit me by 1 p.m. Like, we just want to make sure these medical records are correct. Is it true that in June you were involved in a projection? I'm like, yes. Is it true that you just had 130? Yes. So, you know, at that point, again, drama fell.
Right.
Of course, they, called me in for some additional stuff, and it was just lovely. So I get on the show. We actually ran in Philadelphia at the Port Richmond Power Plant further up north.
Okay.
And it was an amazing experience. My children got to run the course beside me. It was phenomenal. It was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
You actually answered all the questions right behind each other. You know, and I gotta tell you something. Because in just talking with you, and you've always been such a humble, cool guy online.
I appreciate you. Brother.
Talking with you, I feel like you're my brother from another mother. All right, because even when you said about growing up in the 80s and with your uncles and flipping tires and things like that. Now, mind you, same way. All right, I was born in 1980. Hush for all those people tuning in. Yes, I'm old. I don't care. I grew up in the 80s, and I always watched my uncles do the same thing. They were construction workers.
Right.
So a lot of them, it was gym, and gym didn't just mean going in the gym, just like you. It was, hey, we gotta do push-ups and pull-ups. We'll do them all day till we feel like we got enough, and then off to work. And then they were slinging sledgehammers and breaking things down, and so when you say that, I can connect with you, especially when you were talking about as far as the calisthenics and the weightlifting, because when I first started, like I said, it was the same thing. I was like, you know what? I'm doing this bodybuilding, and my father would always say, that's good. Just make sure you can move your own body. And you know how they are.
Right.
You know how you're a young lion, and you're like, man, you don't know about this training, old man. No disrespect. No disrespect to the people out there. But that's the young mindset. And it wasn't until I started really adding the calisthenics, and I still do it right now. Like every day I try to bang out 20 pull-ups, 20 chin-ups every day. You know what I mean? So, but it all really connects now. More so now than ever. So, tell me, what's next? You open up your gym. What's next for you?
I think right now, for me, as you know, and as the public may not know, I actually reside in Wilmington, Delaware right now. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, say it one more time. I can't quite hear you as well as I could before.
I'm sorry about that. Hang on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
All right, gotcha. I said, as you know, but some of the public may not know, I reside in Wilmington, Delaware. I love my city, but my city has been plagued with gun violence over the last couple of years. It's been insane in my city, and there's not many viable options as far as alternative behaviors and positive things for my youth to do in my city. So right now, for me, being a huge advocate, I'm starting a fitness movement that's going to be low cost to no cost for my inner city youth. to have something to aspire to and a place to explore, steam, build, network, create friendships and brotherhood, because fitness, to be honest with you, fitness is a lifestyle, and it's something that transcends race, it transcends gender, it transcends everything. It in itself is just an umbrella of positivity. So for me, that's my next move, to start, a calisthenic movement here in Wilmington, Delaware, where there hasn't traditionally been one. There's a ton of traditional gyms, YMCA, City Fitness, LA Fitness, all Retro Fitness, all of these franchise gyms, but these gyms want tons of money, for monthly memberships. And while it may not be a lot for some, it's an amount that's nowhere near close to a thing. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I want to create something low cost so that I can get, these young folks in my city to invest in themselves. Health is wealth, my brother, to invest in themselves, both mentally, spiritually, and physically, and just create positive ideas and let folks know that they can aspire to be something greater. You know what I mean? People always ask me, I see people when I'm out working out on training or I'm running, and they're like, and I do some I'm not even on front. I just had a conversation with my son the other day. I do some pretty ridiculous stuff in the gym, and I believe we're only bound by our imagination. And my son just saw a post of me the other day that someone actually copied from Instagram and placed on YouTube. And I was doing something wild. Like, I was in my bag that day, so I was doing something wild with like a one-arm push-up, sitting on one-arm pull-up.
I saw that. I saw that, brother. I'm gonna try it, just so that you know. I will be trying it.
As you should, let me know. And my son was like, Dad, how do you do that? And why do you do that? I said, listen, I never become comfortable. I'm always hungry. So anything I see on TV and a movie and a cartoon, if I can get somewhere to try it, Dad's gonna try it. In a
cartoon,
Dad's gonna try it.
So then I gotta ask you, because you already hit it with a cartoon. So Dragon Ball Z.
Oh my goodness gracious! One of the best. I say this. I try to be as non-biased as possible. Top three greatest anime and manga ever created.
Of course, because that's where for everybody tuning in. See, this is how I know this is my brother from another mother. See, because you have to understand, especially in the 80s, there was only a few things that sparked us to do what we do. All right, family, which would be your uncles and your father or whatever, whoever the dominant male in your family was.
Absolutely.
Pro wrestling.
Oh yeah.
That was it. Because the Macho Man was my go-to man for
Ultimate Warrior was my guy though.
See, I couldn't take Ultimate Warrior, because he was always shaking the ropes. I'm like, nah, that's too much for me. I need somebody who can handle themselves. The Macho Man was great. All right. 3, Kung Fu movies.
Yes.
And 4, cartoons. And specifically, if you were going to train, if you were going to lift weight or do any calisthenics, it was Dragon Ball Z. That's how you knew. That's right. That's how you knew your life. You know what? That's how they should have picked it. That's how anybody that picked those cartoons, that's how they knew you're going to be a physical trainer. That's how it should have been. 100%. So, with that being said, you've done all this. We see the good work that you're doing. I guess I'm going to ask this, but I think I already know the questions. You're motivated, all right, by so much, all right. What about your children? How do you make it fun for your children? Do you work out with your children? Or I should say, do you play? I should say, we're not working out. How do you show them that it's play? That's what I should say.
Absolutely. Well, for me, first of all, I was always taught, man, to not hold on to superficial things. So, first of all, I've always taught them and let them know that, your physical attributes are not what make you who you are.
Right.
First and foremost. Once they understood that they realized that this working out thing and playing sports were more so for health benefits, everything extra that comes with it, that's just icing on the cake. but we work out, we train, we play to be healthy, to be our best, to be the best version of ourselves.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying? And instilling that in them, shit, man. My daughter, she ballet, gymnastics, tap dance, anything that's physical, she's in, and she's in it for the love. And then my son, who is a physical specimen, man, he's 12 years old. He's 12 years old. He's 6 foot flat, right? 6 foot.
Wow.
He wears a size 14 shoe. He grew 3 inches or something.
Big guy.
Yes, absolutely. And he's extremely, he's blessed with the genes. It's only he's grown so fast. So now I'm in the process of working with him, getting him to realize, footwork and agility and finesse and being able to now adjust to his size and his body, which is still growing, no doubt. We actually had him, he had a 12-year-old physical actually last year because he's about to be 13. And they estimated him to be between 6'8" and 6'11".
Wow.
So, yeah. So for me, I'm hearing that, I'm like, oh, goodness gracious. So, just preparing him for what that means. And again, they're everyone's like, I wish I was taller. I wish I was this. There are obstacles that come with that. Like he wears a 14 now, so he has a hard time finding sneakers. Right. I have no doubt that he's probably going to top out at like a 16 or a 17. Getting him to be comfortable in his own skin. He's not shorter than everyone, but he's so much taller than everyone in his age. So, in his age bracket. So it's interesting how one person's belief of games can be the next person's belief of, issues.
Right.
So I always, instill these things in them. So now they do these things for the love. And they're because they're doing it for the love and not the game, their skill level is increasing because they're putting in the work. They're actually loving and liking what they're doing as opposed to having it thrust upon them and them burning out or not wanting to play sports or not wanting to do these things. I kind of took the organic approach and let them gravitate. So once I saw that they latched on, then I can start to throw my religion, my little pieces of information and things like that in there from an organic approach as opposed to just, hey, basketball, dribble, layup, drills, these types of things. So, and that was the approach I was taking with them. And it's the same approach, my parents took with me. And it's beautiful watching, their love for sports and just general health as a whole blossom. And my eyes are just like, oh my God, my baby, my kids.
A proud father.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it is, if they did not gravitate towards that, the proud father thing still blossoms because whether they play sports or not, they have a greater understanding for health. They lost their grandfather. Their father has hypertension. We have to make sure that if they inherit some of these traits, that they know how to behave, and we take this on with a group approach just like it was done for me.
What advice would you give to a parent who wants to get their child to be more active, or a family that wants to become more active? What type of advice would you do, or would you tell them?
For sure. First and foremost, before anything else, before you decide doing exercises or taking sports or even talking about sports, I think I'm old school again from down south. Practice what you preach. You know what I mean? You can't have your children. You can't tell your children about being healthy or being active or just moving in general exercise if you're a couch potato and you know what I mean, Doritos all day. Nothing against Doritos because I do love my Doritos, but if you're just eating and snacking and overindulging in things that aren't going to be, beneficial to a healthy lifestyle per se. So practice what you preach and gradually introduce your youth, your child, your daughter, your aunt, your uncle, whoever it is, to, activities that won't be so intrusive. So you can start off with a brisk walk or a light run or nightly stretching. I start off on my kids stretching before we go to bed and in the morning when we get up. And before long, they were like, oh, they're already stretching before I get up in the morning.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it just creates a healthy hunger for more when you gradually introduce, your young folks to anything, let alone fitness.
What's the age that you would start a child being active? Because I know for me, and I was asked recently. Now, for me as a trainer, and for me just in my own life growing up, I say the younger the better, as long as it's with a conservative mind as far as what you're doing. I know some individuals, they don't have that conservative mind. So, I mean, I've seen individuals have their child doing resistance training with weights, but in the proper level, all right, as young as 6-7 years old. So, you know, and when we're saying, you know, weights, we're not talking about exuberant weights, just weights that they can control and they can learn proper technique. So I say typically from 6 up. All right. What would you tell a parent? What is your idea of starting a child at the proper age limit?
I absolutely agree. Anything, to be honest, yeah, the younger the better. Simply because it opens their mind. Once their mind is open, and it doesn't have to, a lot of times when we talk about fitness, we talk about exercising, there's automatically something attached to it. Oh, it's jumping jacks. Oh, it's sit-ups. Oh, it's running. Oh, it's this. It does not have to be, it doesn't have to have a title.
Exactly.
Physical fitness can be something as simple as jumping up and down, laying on the floor, getting up, jumping up, rolling over. It's something to get them to understand that they're using their body and they're raising their heart rate. It can be very, very simple. So I'm fully with you at 6 years old. Anything smooth, it does not have to be weights. It can be throwing a basketball. It can be getting a fat bag with a little Nerf ball and getting them to learn how to swing and use their hit. That's where I started at, hitting the little fat bat, the extra big bat with the little Nerf ball. You know what I mean? So it's just something that gets their mind going. So yes, the younger the better. I'm with you wholeheartedly there, brother.
And I'm just going to interject for the people that are listening. When we say these things, we mean it in its proper context. So, meaning that don't expect your child, don't take them to the gym thinking they're going to lift 1,000 pounds. What we're saying is in the proper context of things that they can handle, they can control, things that are fun, things that can be active. And if you do not understand, if you don't have a grasp on that, if you're not certain, contact individuals, talk to a trainer, a certified physical trainer, talk to your physician, talk to somebody that you know should be able to give you the answer. And if you don't know, please email the show. You can email the show at daylifefit13@gmail.com, and we will help you, because I don't want anybody to misinterpret what it is we're saying. All right, we don't want anybody's child to be hurt. Deangelo, we appreciate talking to you. Please do us a favor. Drop your information where you can be asked questions, where they can contact you, where they can see your your amazing calisthenics routines and look at your video from when you hurt your wrist and you was hit by a car and all those amazing things. Let everybody know where they can find you, please.
Most definitely. I'm most active on Instagram with my own workouts, and that's going to be the word fitness _, G as in green, U as in umbrella, Y as in yellow. So that's B_fitness _guy. I'm also on Facebook. It's going to be Deangelo Lewis. That's D_NGELOLEWIS. And that's where I post a lot of my science work, a lot of my collaborative stuff, and I keep that nice and fresh. You can reach me on either venue, whether that's DMs, instant messages, or you can send me private messages on Facebook. I love to connect with all my folks. I do information tutorials. We do rap sessions. We explain and converse on different workouts. So if you ever want to reach me, please feel free. You can definitely get me there. And I always respond to messages and DMs. So please reach out. I'd love to hear from you.
Deangelo, we appreciate you being on the show. We hope we'll be able to get you back. We know you're a busy man, but please come back to the show.
Never too busy. It's been an honor, man. I appreciate you inviting me to do the show, brother.
You're now tuned in to the De La Fit Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's Philly's #1 son, aka the Body Alchemist, telling you to tune into the De La Fit Podcast every Friday at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard and 10 o'clock Pacific to hear the best in fitness and holistic health. We've got some great guests, we've got some great information, and we're sharing it every Friday. That's right, at 1 o'clock and 10 a.m. Pacific time. Join us.
We're back. De La Fit Podcast.
Much respect to Deangelo Lewis, aka The Fitness Guy, on Instagram for sharing his story and his energy and his time with us. What can I say? The brother is highly motivational, highly inspirational. 100%. Just the beginning story of the unfortunate passing of his father, and how his family was able to rally together, band together, and take a tragedy and decide to make positive health changes within the family. Not just for one person, but for everyone. That's not a common thing. That's not a common thing at all. And you know what? And it takes a lot to make those type of changes, because you're dealing with people growing up in a certain type of way, in a certain type of culture, with a certain type of habits. It takes a lot of resolve, and that's not easy. That is not easy, not at all. But as we can see it, and as we heard within the story, Lewis, Deangelo, you got a lot of resolve there, brother. The man got hit by a Jeep. 20% of the use of his wrists, and still competed several months later in a calisthenics competition. Much respect to you, bro. Much respect. And definitely we will have you back on the show. For anybody that wants to reach out again to Deangelo, aka The Fitness Guy, that is his name on Instagram, The Fitness Guy, _Fitness Guy. Look the man up. Look the man up. He's worthy of your inquisition and to investigate. Big ups to you. And thank you again for coming on to the podcast. Next up, we're about to drop the jewels. That's right. We're getting ready to talk about some more interesting information for you out there, answering your questions. Why am I talking like this? I don't know. It's the De La Fit Podcast.
It's time for dropping jewels.
Jeffrey Snyder, everybody, he's going to be here for the Dropping the Jewels section. We're getting ready to talk right now. Actually, we started about the conversation at hand, which is size and strength versus versus strength training and functionality. All right, size versus actual strength. This is a conversation that we have had off the air, but I wanted to touch on because I think it's kind of hilarious. And the reason I'm talking about this with you, Jeff, is because I was recently in the gym and doing my workout. The guy came in, he's nice, big guy, he comes in there, you know how it is. They look at you like,
Right.
This guy's probably about maybe 225. All right, now me, right now I'm going between 178 and 180. So I'm doing my workout, right, which is pretty much I was deadlifting. All right, and then I was doing some calisthenics, here and there, playing around, doing the monkey bars.
Okay.
So my workouts specifically are short and sweet. I've gotten to that point. You know what I mean?
Yep,
I'm in, I'm out, I'm good, I know what I need to do.
Right.
So I'm looking at the attitude between this, this guy and myself, and I can see it, I can feel it. I already know what it is. Look at this guy, and I'm like, all right, whatever. All right, but case in point, let's fast forward. This is a common thing, which I've seen, is the fact that there is a myth that size, and when I say size, muscular size and aesthetic equals physical strength and power. So, can you explain that, please?
Yes.
I've seen guys that are your size that can bench double their weight, squat triple their weight. I've seen guys bigger than you that can't bench their body weight. They can't squat their body weight. Size has nothing to do with strength. You have a lot of guys, you have a lot of small guys that are extremely strong, and their technique is beautiful. You know, because the guy is big does not necessarily mean he's strong. If you look at Ronnie Coleman,
right,
he's had some enhancements, but he's not a strong guy.
Okay.
You know, if you look at
now explain that, because I know we've seen the videos, but I know people are gonna Google this and they're gonna respond. How can you make that statement? How can you make that statement? Trainer, what's going on? I'm trying to protect you from getting barraged on your Instagram.
That's okay. If you take a power lifter or an Olympic lifter, that's Ronnie Coleman's competitive weight, and you put their poundage next to each other, you're going to see the power lifter is a lot stronger than Ronnie Coleman.
Okay.
Because he works on strength. So Ronnie Coleman works on endurance, and he sculpts his muscles.
Right.
Now again, he had some different performance enhancing drugs. We all know this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And Ronnie Coleman is strong, but he's not as strong as he could be. Because he doesn't train for strength. He trains for aesthetics. He trains for the look. And a lot of people train for the look. They want that look. So they get the look, and once they get the look, they're not worried about getting any stronger.
Right.
Because they have the look. Now, a powerlifter, he wants to get as strong as he can possibly. He does not care how he looks. That's why we're doing 6,000, 5,000 calories a day. We want to get big. We want to gain weight. We want to get strong. Because size and strength to us is size and strength. It's real strength. It's real size. As opposed to a bodybuilder just wants to get size but not necessarily strength.
Now break down that, Jeff, for the individuals that aren't familiar, because even for me when I first started, all right, not even a few years ago, about let's say a decade or so ago, it was always in my head. It was like, oh, I gotta get bigger, which equals to me strength. Now, it wasn't until I grew up, mentally, that I started to realize that's there's not a correlation between the two. So explain that correlation. What is it between the actual strength and size? What is that, and why the myth?
The muscle, all right, so you have muscle fibers. Slow twitch, fast twitch muscle fibers.
Right.
Fast twitch are for power and strength. Slow twitch are for endurance. Powerlifters work the fast twitch muscles for explosive power, for size. They're not worried about it's size and functionality. In other words, they want to be able to lift weight. They want to be bigger, they want to be stronger. Not necessarily faster.
Right.
So they don't do that much cardio. Now, a bodybuilder does cardio, but he's not necessarily doing cardio like football.
Right. Okay.
So the strength, so everyone there's different strength levels. There's different strength levels. So a powerlifter just wants to move the weight one time.
Right.
Bodybuilder, they want to do 15 reps. A football player wants to be able to run a mile or sprint and also lift the heavy weight to be in better shape. So that's the difference. So one is, I hope I'm getting this right. Because one is, of course, when you have size, you're going to have strength.
Right.
But you're not going to have the strength that you're looking for depending on what type of training that you're doing.
Right. And powerlifters specifically do a lot of, or I should say, strength-based athletes. Let's not just go with powerlifters. Strength-based athletes deal with a lot of training that stimulates their nervous system, if I'm correct.
The central nervous system, yeah.
Right. Which is kind of like, for those out there listening, it's like it's like a generator. It's the electrical generator throughout your house, and it's like, there's different ways to work it so that it's more efficient, which is where the energy is coming from. And if I'm saying this correctly, am I right, Jeff?
Yes.
All right. So how would the difference between powerlifting and a bodybuilder or an aesthetic athlete and a strength-based athlete deal with that?
With the central nervous system stimulation?
Yes.
Okay, so anytime you lift weights, that's 50% nervous system. But it's just how much do you want to stimulate it? Stimulate is what you want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can work so hard that all of a sudden your whole central nervous system breaks down. Then you get rhabdo, or you know what rhabdo is?
Explain it.
It's when the muscle tissue can't put enough back in, and the body just basically breaks down.
Okay.
That's right. The body just breaks down for weight training. No recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the layman's term. But it's the central nervous system stimulation is important. It just depends on how you're doing it. Are you doing it by explosive power? Are you doing it by cardio? Or are you doing it by aerobic or anaerobic?
Okay. So you're saying there's different ways that a strength-based athlete will be able to elicit that power and strength function. Right. Okay.
Yes. I feel like I'm on a what's the name here? I'm trying to remember a lot of this stuff because you just take it for granted. It's like, oh yeah, and I gotta remember this stuff. Yeah,
no, listen. But this is one reason. Again, we have the show, and another reason why we do the drop and jewel sections for people to answer the questions, because people ask me all the time. But again, I'm glad you said that, because when I'm on the show, people will hear me stutter sometimes, and I'm sure they're tuning in like, does this guy know what he's talking about? It's really, we know it, but we're so used to it that, and there's specific terms that we want to explain to you out there, because there are terms we know, like that, as you're talking, I know exactly what you're talking about, but to say them properly so that everyone out there who is listening right now, you all can learn and understand. Sometimes we have to slow ourselves down because it's a language in itself, which is another reason why we do it the way we do it. So
if we broke it down, if we broke it down the way we were taught.
Exactly.
You would look at us and say, well, what's the point? I didn't understand that. That didn't make any sense to me.
Exactly.
But if we just talk to you like and this is not saying anything bad, but we try to explain to you like you're 10 years old.
Yep.
Then you'll get it.
Exactly. Making it easier for you.
Right. That's one of the things about this is this bodybuilding, this weight training, this lifestyle is not an exact science.
Exactly.
And people have to realize it's not exact. What works for me may not work for you.
Exactly.
And what works for someone else may not work for me. But it's a trial and error.
Yes.
What you have to do is you have to go through the trial and error. You have to go through all these different workouts, these different diets, these different routines to find out what works best for you. It takes years, and you're not going to get it overnight.
Exactly.
And a trainer might be able to put you on point quicker than you just going through all the movements.
Yep.
And so that's why we're here, to get you quicker, to get you where you need to be faster, so we can identify.
And that's the whole purpose. The whole purpose of this. Yep.
Because when I first started working out, I was told you can eat as much as you want and eat everything because you're burning it all up. Eat it all. Eat everything. You're burning it. You're working out. It's okay.
Right. Yeah.
Wrong answer.
And you know what? It's funny you say that, because I remember when I started, they were like, your metabolism's fast. You're gonna have to eat 6 times a day.
Right.
Wrong. It was what I was eating and the type of workouts I was doing.
Exactly.
They pack on the muscle and things like that. Jeff, appreciate you coming on to the show.
No problem.
As always, it's the Trainer's Trainer, and this is De La Fit Podcast.
You're now tuned into the De La Fit Podcast.
Big shout out to Jeffrey Snyder, aka the Trainer's Trainer, for joining us on the show today. And sharing with us his information, his knowledge, and the conversation. I wanted him to come on because I thought, who better? Somebody that has had experience in the strength and conditioning aspects of physical training, as well as just in competing and knowing the difference. Just his knowledge being around bodybuilders and powerlifters. And the thing of it is that, here at the De La Fit Podcast, we're trying to help dispel myths. We don't want you to be ignorant to the truth. And our reason for that is because there's so many people that are ignorant to the fact of health, fitness, you know, and think that they're not. There's so many people that really think that they know flat out, oh, I know what health is, and then find out just how undereducated they are. You know, and I'm not saying that I'm a guru, and I'm not saying that anyone specifically on here is a guru master, but the people that come on the show, they have spent time studying, putting in the work, and they continue to study. I continue to study, you know, and there are a lot of myths out there that people continue to think are factual, you know, and that's one big fact right there is that, oh, just because you are a very large, muscular looking person that you're strong. Now, also, here's another thing. Just because you are a small guy that's my frame doesn't mean you're strong. The thing of it is that it's knowing how to train. It's knowing how to train. It's knowing that size doesn't mean that you're strong. It's knowing that, you know, all the things we've been drastically taught for years doesn't necessarily make it true. You know, I have numerous relatives and family members and associates and friends who when we get into conversations will tell me about something that a family member said, you know, and it gets passed down and passed down. It's a family tradition. And then when you go into it deeper, you find out where'd that family tradition come from. Does it come from something of substance? Does it come from like a proven fact? Does it come from something that, you know, is positive? Does it come from actual truth? And you find out it comes from somebody or somewhere down the line, you know, that's not actually fact. That was actually opinion, not fact. It was opinion. Or you find out it comes from somebody who didn't necessarily know better, so that's what they thought was fact, you know. And that's the thing, you know, not putting blame on anybody, but at a certain point, yes, there is blame for all of us. We need to be educated, and we need to be in a continuous educational or learning mode, you know, never getting stagnant. You know, that's that part of perfection that I always talk about dealing with human beings. You know, again, a lot of us say, oh, nobody's perfect. Bullshit. And excuse me for the language, but that's bullshit. Human beings are perfect. We're perfect because we make those flaws, we make those errors, and we can learn from those errors, and then we can correct ourselves and choose to be better. We continue learning, continue growth. That's perfection. That's perfection. There's different levels of perfection. There's divine perfection, and then there's human perfection, and then there's intermingling within those two. But that's a whole other story for a whole other time. You know, we're not going to get into that. Just want to say thank everybody for coming on to the show. Big shout out to Deangelo Lewis, the fitness guy. Thank you for coming on to the show. You know, shared his experience, his story. We appreciate him. Big shout out to the trainer's trainer, Jeffrey Snyder. You know, thank you for coming on. You know, all the guests, we appreciate you immensely. We appreciate your energy. We appreciate you spending your time and, you know, educating us and, you know, sharing your passion with us. And most importantly, we appreciate you, the guests. Excuse me, you, the listeners. We appreciate you, the listeners out there, because without you, there is no us. We thank you so much for tuning into the De La Fit podcast, you know, tuning into us every Friday and listening, you know, and sharing. You know, we thank you so much for that, because there is no podcast without you, and that's the basic truth. You know, those that choose to listen, we hope that you are getting something positive from what we're putting out, and we hope that we can continue to help. As always, if you have any comments, if you have any topics that you would like us to discuss, please, you can hit us up, email us at delafit13@gmail.com. We will have a actual phone number coming soon where you can call in and leave your questions, and we will actually answer your questions on the show. Until then, you can also find us on Instagram at day_la_fit podcast. You know, we are on Instagram as well as we are on Facebook at De La Fit Podcast. One word. So, thank you so much. We appreciate you. As always, be healthy, be fit, be positive. Always, always try to progress. Peace.
De La Fit Podcast.
Yeah, buddy!
Get